Welcome to Living Inspired with Autism. I'm Antoinette, and if you don't know by now, I am a life coach for parents of autistic children. My mission is to help you embrace expansion, show you your limitless potential and the possibility of non-linear paths we get to follow as parents of autism. My work is to empower you and to allow you to let go what is not serving you, and to show you that it is never too late to reinvent yourself. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about something I wish someone had told me many years ago, something that once I understood it, changed how I showed up as a parent, as a person, and in my life. And we're talking about why you need to stop wishing this was easier. I know it's not what you wanted to hear today, but stay with me because this might be the best thing you are going to hear all year. So here's what I know, because I've been there. I've had these moments and I still have my moments. You're exhausted. You're doing everything you possibly can. You're researching, you're spending money on treatments, you're managing meltdowns and behaviors. You're fighting for services, you're showing up even when you don't know how. And somewhere in your mind, there's this constant loop. If I could just find the right thing, if I could just make this easier, if I had more help, more money, more time, then it would get better. But here's something nobody's going to tell you. It's not going to get easier. Not in the way you think. So let me tell you what I've learned after coaching thousands of parents through this journey. The entire experience of parenting an autistic child changes the moment you stop desiring it for it to be easy. The moment that you stop asking, how do I make this easier? And start asking, how do I make myself stronger? Because what actually happens when we chase easy, we hustle, we try to outpace the discomfort, we keep doing, hoping that if we just move fast enough, we'll finally land in that magical place where everything just feels manageable. But you know what? Even when we do get a win, even when you finally have a breakthrough with your child, or get that diagnosis, or find that particular thing that works, your brain immediately discounts it and throws you back into the next challenge. So you end up living in this perpetual state of risk and uncertainty, never feeling like you're actually making any progress, never allowing yourself to rest, never feeling proud of how far you've come, how far you've actually come, and you exhaust yourself. So let me tell you about two different kinds of hard. There's the hard of not living the life that you know you're meant to live. The hard of suppressing who you could be. The hard of buffering with Netflix and overeating or scrolling social media just to avoid the weight of everything that you're carrying. And then there's a hard of actually showing up, the hard of strengthening yourself, the hard of saying, this is hard and I am capable. You are going to choose your hard either way. The question is, do you want the hard of shrinking or do you want the hard of growing? And I had a moment where I had to face this myself because my kiddo Max was going through a particularly difficult phase. And at the time I was sick, I was exhausted and overwhelmed. And I kept thinking, if I just had more support, if my family just could help me or understand better, if I just had more money, then I could handle this. And my coach asked me a question that stopped me. And what she asked me was, what if you just decided you could handle this right now, as it is? What if you stopped waiting for it to be easier and start strengthening yourself to it? And of course, I felt like reaching through Zoom and grabbing her by the throat. I wanted to scream at her because the last thing I wanted to hear was that I needed to do more. But what she was actually saying is you don't need to do more, you need to become more. When you strengthen yourself, when you stop resisting reality and start building your capacity to hold it, something miraculous happens. Things do get easier. And not because the circumstances change, but because you changed. And let me give you an example of something that happened in my own life. There was a time where I felt like I was at my absolute ceiling. I was sick. I was in and out of hospital. I had no energy. I was overwhelmed by Max's needs. I was working full-time, and then I was also working part-time on my own business. And I was just managing everything on my own. And I kept thinking, I literally cannot do one more thing. I have nothing left. And my coach said something that made me cry at the time. And she said, but you haven't collapsed yet. You might actually have a little more in you than you think. And I was furious at her because what I wanted her to say was, oh, you poor thing, you need a break. I wanted permission to stop. I wanted someone to rescue me. I was in full victim mode. But what she was actually showing me is I was stronger than I believed. And you know what? She was right. I did have more in me. Not because I was superhuman, but because I had been telling myself that I was at my limit. And that thought creating the experience of being at my limit. And when I changed the thought to I'm capable of this, something shifted again. Not overnight, but gradually. I started noticing that the same situation that used to completely derail me, a behavior moment in public, maybe a sleepless night or a meeting that didn't go so well, they were still hard, but they didn't devastate me anymore. I had built the capacity to hold them. It's like the difference between someone who's never lifted weights, then picking up a set of 15-pound weights versus someone who's been training for months. It's not the 15 pounds didn't change, it's your muscles. So your circumstances haven't changed, but you have. You become someone who can hold more pressure without breaking. You become someone who can process emotions in real time instead of stuffing them down. You become someone who doesn't collapse when things don't go according to plan. And because you're stronger, everything on the outside starts to feel lighter. And this is what I mean when I say strengthen yourself. Don't seek easier. Now, I want to tell you something important as well, is you need to accept that you will give more than you get back. Always. You've signed up for perpetual overgiving and what might feel like under-receiving. And I know that sounds a bit depressing, but stay with me because there is freedom on the other side of this acceptance. When you stop resisting this reality, when you stop thinking, I shouldn't have to give this much, or this isn't fair, or I should be getting more back by now, my kiddo should be more advanced by now, you stop suffering from entitlement. Entitlement is what causes so much pain in parenting autism. I should be further along by now. My child should be progressing faster. This shouldn't be so hard. I shouldn't have to fight this hard. Every single one of those thoughts creates suffering. And not because they're not understandable, because they are absolutely, but because they keep you stuck in resistance to reality. When you accept that you're going to give a lot, more energy, more time, more emotional labor, more money, more patience than you've ever imagined, and you make peace with that, something incredible happens. You stop fighting with reality. You stop exhausting yourself wishing things were different. And you can actually put that energy towards being the parent that your child needs. Does this mean that you'll never feel compensated? No. There will be points where you will feel dramatically rewarded, where your kiddo has a breakthrough, when you see the impact of all your effort, where someone tells you, you know what, you're an amazing parent. But you can't live waiting for that moment. You have to be able to give and give and give and find the reward in the giving, not just the outcome. The reward is in you, you're becoming through the process. And then I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper in this idea of the two types of hard, because I think this is where the real transformation happens. There's the hard of not living the life that you are meant to live. And let me show you what this looks like. You're constantly buffering. You're scrolling on social media. You're binge watching Netflix. You're overeating. Anything to distract yourself from feeling that you're not showing up the way you want to. You're suppressing your potential, and you know deep down you could be doing more, being more, creating more. But you're afraid, so you stay small. You're living in resentment. You're resenting your kiddo, your kids, your partner, your situation, yourself. And that resentment eats away at you every single day. You're stuck in the doing because you're afraid to feel. So you just keep going and going and going, but you're not actually going anywhere. You're just exhausted. This kind of hard is really soul-crushing. It's the hard of knowing that you're capable of more, but not allowing yourself to step into it. It's the hard of living with regret, with what-ifs, with a constant gnawing feeling that you're not being who you were meant to be. And the thing is, this hard doesn't go away. It actually gets worse over time because the gap between who you are and who you could be just keeps growing. Now, let's talk about the other kind of hard. The hard of actually showing up, the hard of strengthening yourself, the hard of facing emotions instead of running away from them. Now, this hard looks different. You're uncomfortable, yes. You're being challenged. You're feeling emotions that you really don't want to feel. You're doing things that scare you, but you're alive. You're engaged. You're learning. You're growing. Every time you choose this hard, you become just that little bit more stronger, a little bit more capable, a little bit more you. And the beautiful thing is, this kind of hard has an expiration date. Because the more you face it, the more you build capacity for it, the easier it becomes. Not because the circumstances have changed, but because you built the muscles to handle it. So when I say, stop wanting it to be easier, what I'm really saying is, choose the hard that makes you stronger, not the hard that makes you smaller. Choose the hard that has you waking up saying, I showed up today. I didn't hide. I didn't run. I am proud of who I'm becoming. Instead of the hard of waking up and thinking, ugh, I hate my life. I'm stuck. Nothing's ever going to change. This is just how it's going to be. You get to choose which heart you live with. And I'm telling you, from the bottom of my heart, having lived both, the hard of growing is so much more bearable than the hard of staying stuck. Now, another crucial piece to this puzzle that I don't think we talk about enough is building self-trust. When you're parenting, everyone has an opinion. Doctors and therapists and teachers and in-laws and friends and random people on the internet, everyone thinks they know what you should do, what therapy you should try, which vitamin you should try, how you should handle behaviors, what your child needs. And in the middle of all that noise, you can completely lose touch with your own intuition. You stop trusting yourself. You second guess every decision. And you wonder if you're doing enough, if you're doing too much, or doing the wrong thing entirely. And this lack of self-trust is exhausting because you're constantly looking outside yourself for validation and for answers and for permission to do what you already know you need to do. So let me tell you something. Self-trust is not built by always being right. It's built by how you treat yourself when you're wrong. It's built by having your own back when things don't work out. It's built by saying, I made that decision with the information I had and I did my best. It's built by not abandoning yourself when you fail. Let's just say you decide to try a new therapy for your kiddo. You invest the time, the money, and the energy. And after a year or 3 months or whatever it is, it's clear it's not working. You have two choices in that moment. The first choice is you can beat yourself up and say to yourself, I should have known better. I wasted all that money. I'm a terrible parent. I can't trust my judgment. Or the second choice, you have your own back and you say, this didn't work and it's okay. I made the best decision I could with what I knew. Now I have more information and I'll make a different choice moving forward. Can you feel the difference? The first choice destroys self-trust. The second choice builds it. Every single time you have your own back, every single time you refuse to abandon yourself in disappointment or failure, you build trust with yourself. And here's what happens when you have deep self-trust. You stop needing everyone else's approval. You stop second-guessing yourself into paralysis. You make decisions faster because you trust that even if they are wrong, you'll be able to handle it. You start tuning back into your intuition. You start hearing that quiet voice inside that says, this feels right, or this doesn't feel right for my kiddo. And you honor it, even when it goes against what everyone else is telling you. This is what it means to lead yourself. Not from a place of arrogance or thinking you know everything, but from a place of deep trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. I cannot tell you how many times I've had this gut feeling about something with Max, a medication that didn't feel right, a decision that needed to be made, and I ignored it because I didn't trust myself. And every single time I regretted it. And of course, there was sometimes I had to make a decision and I knew in my heart it wasn't the right one to make, but it was all that I had at the time. That was the best thing that was available until something better came along. But I trusted that I would know when it came along that it would be the best thing. Now I've learned to listen to that voice, to trust it, even when it's scary, even when it goes against conventional wisdom, because I've built that self-trust to know, even if this doesn't work out, I will not abandon myself. I will not attack myself. I will learn and I'll keep going. And that is true strength. So part of strengthening yourself isn't just about handling external pressure. It's about building an unshakable relationship with yourself. It's about becoming someone that you can rely on, someone who has their own back no matter what. When you have that, everything else becomes easier to navigate. Now, when I say stop wanting it to be easier, I am not saying push through without rest. I am not saying ignore your needs. I am not saying grind until you burn out. In fact, the opposite. Part of strengthening yourself is learning to rest, to celebrate, to track your progress, to pump yourself up. You can't live infinitely in risk and uncertainty without landing in a reward. You'll exhaust yourself. So yes, this is hard, and you need to take breaks. You need to feel proud of yourself. You need to live in what you've created, even if it's not perfect yet. The goal is not to be in that pain all of the time. The goal is to build the capacity to hold both the hard and the rest, the pressure and the peace, the challenge and the celebration. This is balance. This is strength. Here's what I've come to believe. Every hardship you face as a parent of an autistic child is preparing you for something. It's sharpening you. It's teaching you resilience and patience and creativity and advocacy and unconditional love in ways you've never imagined. It's making you into someone who can hold more and feel more and create more and impact more. And one day, I promise you this, you're going to look back and realize that the struggles that you're facing right now were exactly what you needed to become the person you were always meant to be. Not because it was fair, not because it was easy, but because you refused to give up. You refused to stay small. You refused to let this break you. You chose to get stronger instead. So I want to offer you this today. Stop wishing it was easier. Stop waiting for the perfect support system, the perfect thing, the perfect circumstance. Start asking, how can I strengthen myself here? Start seeing yourself as the asset. Start treating your emotional reaction as a path forward. Start celebrating those wins, no matter how small they are. Start building the version of you who can handle this. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. Because when you do that, you'll see that things will change. Your family will feel it. Your kiddo will feel it. You will feel it. And you'll start living inspired. Not despite autism, but because of what it's teaching you to become. All right, so if this resonates for you, I want to invite you to something really special. I am hosting a free live masterclass where I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that I use with my clients. I've created this program called the Successful Autism Family Blueprint. And it is, I have to say, so exciting and super amazing. It's real, practical, no-nonsense work. We're going to learn how to build your capacity to handle pressure without burning out, to strengthen yourself emotionally so that you can show up powerfully for you, for your kiddo, and for your family, to stop living in constant survival mode and start leading your family and create the life that you actually want, not just survive the life that you have. The masterclass is going to be completely free and it's happening live, so I can answer all your questions in real time. So please join the wait list and we will send you all the details. So the link will be in the show notes, or you can go to my website. It's www.lliautism.net and you can register there as well. So please, if this is for you, don't wait, register now. And now I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for your child, for your family, and for yourself. Remember, you don't need this to be easier. You need to be stronger. And I'm here to help you do exactly that. I will see you in the masterclass, and I will see you in next week's podcast. Until next time, keep living inspired.